There's a grief no one prepares you for. Not the kind that arrives with death. Not the kind that has a name. Not the kind people bring flowers for. It's the kind that comes quietly, wrapped inside the most beautiful thing that ever happened to you. The day you became a mother, a part of you disappeared, and nobody told you it was okay to mourn her. You remember who you were, the woman who had mornings. Real mornings, coffee while it was still hot, silence that belonged to her, a body that moved through the world without someone else's needs attached to it. The woman who had plans, not just grocery lists and pediatric appointments, but dreams, ambitions, a vision of who she was becoming. The woman who could leave the house without a 20-minute preparation, who could sit in a restaurant and actually taste the food, who could get sick and just rest. She didn't disappear overnight. She faded, slowly replaced by schedules, by someone else's hunger, by a love so total it left no room for her. And you love your child with everything you have, every cell, every breath. That is not the question. The question no one asks, the question you barely let yourself think, is what happened to her? What happened to you? Most mothers carry this in silence. They smile in the photos. They say the right things at playgroups. They post the milestones. They say, "I wouldn't change a thing." And they mean it. They genuinely mean it. But late at night, when the house is finally quiet and everyone else is asleep, something stirs. Not regret, not even sadness exactly, just the echo of someone you used to be. A version of yourself you never got to finish becoming. A dream you set down just for a moment that somehow became permanent. Nobody talks about this. We talk about the hard parts of motherhood, the exhaustion, the body changes, the sleepless nights. But we don't talk about identity, about the woman who had a creative life, who was building something, who was in the middle of her own story when a new, more urgent story began. We don't talk about the disorientation of no longer recognizing yourself in the mirror, not just physically, but the look in your eyes, the flatness where there used to be fire. We don't talk about the loneliness of being surrounded by people who need you and still feeling completely alone, or the guilt that follows immediately after, because how dare you feel lonely when you have so much? That guilt, that's the part that keeps women silent. The belief that acknowledging this loss somehow cancels out the love, that if you admit you miss yourself, you're admitting you regret becoming a mother. But that's not how grief works. You can love your child beyond language and still mourn the woman you were. You can be grateful for this life, completely, genuinely grateful, and still wonder about the other one. Both things are true. At the same time, in the same heart. That is not contradiction. That is the full, honest experience of being a mother. Here is what I want you to know. Grieving who you were does not mean you regret who you became. It means you were someone worth grieving. It means the woman you were before had a life worth mourning, had dreams that mattered, had a self that was real and whole and deserved to exist. Honoring that grief is not betraying your child, it is honoring yourself. And a mother who honors herself teaches her child that they are also worth honoring. The woman you were didn't disappear forever. She's still in there, waiting, in the things that still make your eyes light up when you let yourself think about them, in the music that still feels like yours, in the opinions you still have even when there's no one to share them with, in the dreams you've stopped saying out loud but haven't actually stopped having. She adapted. She had to. She became more patient than she knew she could be, more fierce than she ever imagined, more capable of love than she thought was humanly possible. But she is still there, and she deserves more than survival. She deserves to be seen. Not just as a mother, but as a whole, complex, irreplaceable woman. So if today you caught yourself missing her, the version of you that existed before, don't push that feeling away. Sit with it. Let it breathe. Let it remind you that you had a self before this role, and that self is still worth tending to. It doesn't have to look like the life you had before. It won't. It can't. But it can look like something. A small thing, protected, a mourning, a practice, a dream kept quietly alive. You don't have to get yourself back. You have to find out who you are now, with everything you've carried, everything you've learned, everything you've become. You are not just a mother. You are a person, with a story that didn't end the day you became one. It just entered its most difficult, most beautiful, most defining chapter, and you are still writing it. This is Pause, short pauses for hard days. If this reached you, share it with a mom who needs to hear it, and come back. We'll be here.